So a great run you're on at the moment. What's pleasing you most at the moment?
I just think the consistency of the last 6 games has been really, really solid, and they've been able to churn out results, which have been positive ones, and there's been a growing belief in that, in the last month that we can get really good games out the players and successful results. So hopefully it can continue.
And you're doing it, I guess, against different styles of teams that you're coming up against.
Yeah, that's right, and we haven't really found the need to change. I think we played well away from home at Boreham Wood, but there was a slight change of system on that day. But we've been exactly the same since that day, and we've, like I say, I haven't based everything on playing the perfect game, but we've had really good energy levels, and we've been able to grind it out when necessary. We defended solidly, and we sprung into attack with pace and created some good opportunities. So we've had some good ingredients, and the lads have played their hearts out, to be fair, in recent weeks.
A lot's been made of your defence because of the clean sheets that you've been keeping, but obviously you can't forget it's a 6-match winning run. The goals are coming up the other end as well, aren't they?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we're sitting in the changing room. Probably what's been missing when you're on form has been a real whacking, a real thumping of a team, and to develop a 2-0 lead into a 4 or 5, and so it's something that we've got to obviously accept any win you can at this level. It's a really competitive league, but if we can have the belief and the tenacity and the ruthless edge in order to succeed, and go on to have a really convincing victory, then hopefully that's another stage that we're capable of achieving.
So on to this weekend, trying to extend that winning run, another game. Wrexham, it looks like they've been quite inconsistent, but what do you make of them?
Well, in recent weeks I think they've strengthened. Dean Keats has brought in a few good signings, and they played last week, obviously, against Woking, and had a good result, played very well. And so it's always a tough game against Wrexham, and they'll bring a lot of fans, and they'll block out, stand behind the dugouts, and they'll be right behind their team after a 3-0 victory. So it promises to be a tough game, and you just got to judge it on its merits now. They'll have the confidence lifted from last week's victory.
We were chatting beforehand about the fact that you've not beaten Wrexham down here, but you do know how to beat them, don't you? It's not as if you've never beaten Wrexham.
Well, yeah, but the team's evolved so quickly at this level. There seems to be a lot of changes in a lot of teams. We've just got to, let's say, judge it on the day, and I think we've had a winning formula recently. So, of course, you take into account the opposition and their strengths and weaknesses, but it doesn't mean to have to say that you have to change your game plan dramatically. So we feel that we can be competitive against any team we come up against.
So on to your team. Let's start off with the new face that came in last week, Cian Harrogate. What do you hope to get from him in his spell here?
I think he'll be a successful player. In his career, I think he's exciting. He's got a really good left foot on him, a good left foot strike, energy. He's got a tough edge. I can't believe he's 17. Looking at his frame and his persona as a confident one. I just think we're going to see an exciting player of the future right now at Harrogate Town.
Obviously coming in, Matt Beck injured, or at least he was last week. Just bring us up to date with how he's doing.
He's going to be out for some time. We're looking probably 10 to 12 weeks. And it's an injury that frustrates probably us all more than most, because he can't feel it day to day, other than when he's sat down. His sitting bone, the thigh bone, it's the bruising, and so you can't mess with that, because it can have a real detrimental effect if he plays on his hamstring. And the last thing we want is a torn hamstring, and him be ruled out, and for considerably more time than the 12 weeks.
So long term, how do you plan to cover that?
Well, we brought Cian in, and I say he's an exciting talent that bolsters us up, and we've got 2 up front at the minute who are doing really well and showing the right amount of energy and edge to the games to continue on a good run.
And finally as well, Scott Brown had his loan spell extended at Warrington. How's he going there, benefiting from that time out?
Yeah, I think by all accounts, the manager's given me some good feedback throughout, and he's performed well. needed those games, and he's grown, more and more influential as the loan spells continued, and I'm sure that will continue to the end of the season.
Lovely, thank you.